Founded in 1991 by patients, the FSHD Society is the largest grassroots network of FSHD patients, their families, and research activists. The FSHD Society offers a community of support, news, and information for the millions of people affected by FSHD worldwide. This is FSHD Society Radio.
Welcome to the FSHD Society Radio Show, and this is a theme of Thanksgiving, but also being thankful not just for what we give monetarily, but also of our time, our talent. And some of our guests that we're going to bring in through these segments is really about that. So today we're bringing in this segment, we're going to talk to Ashley from the FSHD Society. Ashley, welcome. Thanks for being here, spending some time with us, I guess on this Thanksgiving season, dare I say it. I know people are already probably wandering into the Christmas time, but thanks for being here, spending some time with us.
Thank you, Tim. I'm really excited to be here. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So what is your role within the FSHD Society, those that don't know?
Yes, so I am actually a regional director for the western part of the U.S. I work with our chapter directors, our volunteers. I actually started back in April, so I'm still relatively new, coming close to that year milestone, but I will tell you, it has just been so absolutely wonderful having the opportunity to work with our volunteers to cultivate their chapters. I've been able to attend a number of chapter meetings to really meet with the community, and of course, help with a lot of the walk and rolls, attending those, helping set them up with our volunteers. And it is just amazing to see how inspirational this community is, and how thankful we as a team at the Society are to be able to have volunteers who are just so amazing and so excited to raise awareness, to help further research. It's just been amazing.
Yeah, I think you said it best, right? This couldn't be done without the volunteers. It really is a thankfulness to that time, that talent, as I mentioned. You spotlight it there with the walk and roll event, other things going on with the chapter meetings. How did you get connected then with the FSHD Society? How did you find out about it? And then, of course, this role that you've taken on.
That is a great question. So I've actually worked in the nonprofit sector for about 10 years now, and I worked with rare disease communities of all types, with the Immune Deficiency Foundation. I've worked with the Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy community, and so I actually had not heard of FSHD until right before I was looking for work, and I had actually heard of FSHD, believe it or not, through Avidity. I had actually gone to interview with them, and that's where I first learned of FSHD, and it was very interesting. But then this position opened up, and it was one that worked directly with volunteers, and that is something that I am passionate about, being able to work with patients who are really passionate about advocating for themselves, becoming their best advocate. And that's what I really love. I love being able to work with patient education, with advocacy. And so I do not have that personal connection to FSHD, but what I do have a connection is as a caregiver. And so I am a caregiver for my mother and my younger siblings. And my mother, actually, she's in the last few years lost the ability to really walk, and so she's in a wheelchair. And so it's been difficult seeing her lose her independence, right? And so when I started meeting with this community and seeing that there's a lot of individuals who go through, every journey is unique. I want to say that up front. Every journey is unique, but seeing that loss of independence, it's so difficult for our patient communities, but also as a caregiver, we go through our own journeys, and being able to have that opportunity to meet with the caregivers within the FSHD community, it's just been so rewarding and such a privilege to see that what they go through is also a unique journey, and learning that while we might not completely understand that patient journey, we're understanding that we don't understand, but we want to be understanding for that individual. And so again, I'm absolutely passionate about being able to help patients become their best advocates, but also caregivers become the best care partners that they can be. And it's been remarkable, absolutely remarkable to see that our community truly embodies that, and that they work together again to raise awareness, to advance research, to come together as a community.
You hit it spot on, right? You talked about caregiver side as well. We have those groups and that get together so that we are supporting that part of our community. And our caregivers, right, that are volunteering their time within our cause, within our fundraising and chapter groups and things like that, as well as patients, isn't there? It's kind of a mix.
Absolutely. No, it's amazing to see that this community has so many stakeholders involved, right? Many communities do, but here, seeing how our caregivers are really involved with helping advance that research, with helping raise awareness. Our patients are there too. And then caregivers, care partners, they can include so many individuals. It's not just a family member, it's not just a spouse or a parent. It's also those relatives, aunts, uncles, friends who are really just part of that journey and who are willing to volunteer their time to not only take care of their loved one or help them on their journey, but to again really raise awareness, to really show that they are committed to helping make that difference. And even if it's just by helping their loved one, whether it's through helping them raise funds for their walk and roll or just showing them that they support them, it's just absolutely astonishing and remarkable.
Thanksgiving, as we air this, is a little bit in the rearview mirror, but not far. So talk a little bit about, from maybe a little bit of your personal side. What is that day? Is that celebrated within your house? And if so, how? Any traditions?
Absolutely. Well, Thanksgiving is definitely one of our favorite holidays here at home. We're a relatively small family. I should say I'm a Hispanic. I'm part of the Hispanic community. And so we tend to have large families, but my family's a little bit smaller. We have 8 individuals, so a total of, about 8 to 10 people for Thanksgiving. So not that big, but it's always so beautiful to see our community, our family come together and just celebrate, all the great food, be able to talk, to see each other. My mom, she used to be the one who cooked for Thanksgiving, right? And so it was very difficult over the last 4 years or so for her to kind of have to pass on that baton to me. And so now I'm responsible for, exactly. Now I understand the craziness. I'll tell you, the first year when I had to cook everything, it really hit me just how long it takes to do everything. And when you're the one coming over to eat, you're like, gosh, it takes forever for dinner to be ready. And now it's like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough time to do everything. But you know what? It's all worth it, because at the end of the day, when you see your loved ones eating that meal that you're able to prepare for them, when you see them just, together, talking, sharing stories, making memories, it's just so amazing. I really think that Thanksgiving is just one of those great holidays. And of course, we also love Christmas time. It's kind of that prelude. I'll say we decorate the house, far in advance. But it's just, I love this time of year. It's so beautiful to see families come together, and even those who might not necessarily have their families right there with them, just the opportunity for us to come together and show that we are one human community here to love one another. I just think it's wonderful.
This feels like then a lot of your personal life or family, even if it's 8, that sounds large to me. I got an even smaller group, but that's a sense of community there. And then with the work you do with this new community you found, when you dove into it in April, it kind of sounds like, that's something that really drives you. I mean, am I right on that? Being part of that community, being an impactful person within that group, you're impactful with your own family, taking on the reins of being the head chef at Thanksgiving. I give you credit for that. There's no way I'm doing that. I'm probably ordering out. And then helping our leadership within our community of FSHD. Sounds like you're really driving your passion. Is that what drives you?
Absolutely. You know what? I really think that it's not about just one person making a difference. It's about us working together. And that is what drives me, knowing that there are so many individuals, within our community, our staff at the FSHD Society. I worked with a lot of nonprofits again, but seeing the passion in our staff here, our CEO who really cares about our community and is there to ensure that we are with them on this journey to find cures by 2025, to find treatments. It's just so amazing. But then our volunteers, years. I'm so thankful that we have a community, again, committed to really making a difference. And for me, it's helping them become their best advocates. I say that a lot, be your best advocate.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
what's so amazing, because it's not about just having everything handed to them. They're putting their part, they're working so that they can be their best advocates, so that they can have their treatments and care. And at the end of the day, it's going to be a collective community effort, not just one person, not just a few individuals. It's all of us working together to make a difference. And that is, it's amazing. It drives me and it makes me happy to know that that I was privileged enough to be able to join the society when I did and join this journey with our community.
And lastly, you have an event coming up in February. Are you a part of that, the Volunteer Leadership Summit? Since we've been talking about so much about volunteers, you want to tease a little bit about that?
Oh my goodness, yes, absolutely. So it is in February, but we are very diligently planning away, and we're really excited. We want to make this upcoming 2024 Volunteer Leadership Summit the best yet. Our community engagement team, we are already planning, trying to see our speakers, trying to see how we can engage our volunteers even more. And so one of the things that we're really trying to do this coming summit is involve our volunteer leaders even more in actually presenting, because we already see all of the great work that they do. So I think it's about time that they share with the rest of the community all the work that they're doing, so that they show that they're the experts. We're not the experts, they are. And so we're really excited. We don't have the official agenda completely down, but we're excited to know that our volunteers are going to have a little bit more of a hand this year in presenting. Of course, we're going to give our updates, and we also have some exciting walk announcements for next year and DIY, how we're going to continue to work together as a community, again, to raise awareness and to raise funds so that we meet our goals. So we're really excited. It will be the first week of February, and invites are going out soon. And we've already had quite a few people say that they are joining us, which is great, because that just shows us, it just shows us that our volunteers are ready and committed to do everything that they can.
Excellent. Yeah, I had to make sure that we talked about that before I let you go. And I love your energy. Ashley, I'm so glad you're part of this community. I'm thankful for you, another person on our team helping us out, helping our community, and another person that knows about FSHD, which I think is a huge win as well, and gets the word out more, because then now you're going to tell probably your 8 family members, right? And then they might tell more, and then so it goes. So I love that part of it too. So thanks, Ashley, for being here, spending a little bit about talking about your Thanksgiving celebrations, traditions, and what you're thankful for. And we're thankful for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. I look forward to it, and happy holidays.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Welcome to the FSHD Society radio show, and yet another segment here about Thanksgiving. We want to give thanks to those that not only give monetary donations to the FSHD Society, but also their time and their talent. That is hugely important, especially in my eyes, when those things are just as valuable, if not more valuable, to give. And we want to say thank you for that, and bring people to represent those groups of our community that want to give thanks as well. So the face that you see with me here is, probably everybody knows who June Kinoshita is. And June, you've been, you and I known each other since I at least began this journey. Before we hit record, I couldn't believe that we're still doing these shows and these episodes, and how it's been refreshed and re-looked at and then reinvigorated with different ideas and different people that have come into it. But you are the stronghold staple, the person that reached out to me first, when I sent that initial email and responded back to me, that kind of lit that flame and kept it going. So I personally am thankful for you responding to that email, and then kind of having the courage to see where this could go, and knowing that, hey, maybe this is something. So I thank you for that, for all those years ago, and what it's continued to be. So that's to start with for me personally. But also thank you for what you're doing for this community, for this society.
Well, I wanted to thank you for reaching out to me with that to do a podcast, because it was on my list. Well, when you talk about lighting a fire, I think when I first arrived at the society, and oh my gosh, summer of 2012, I really knew very little about FSHD. I mean, I had spent bit of time speaking with Dan Perez, the co-founder who hired me, and reading papers and, the science. I thought, wow, amazing drug target. This can be treated and maybe cured, and how are we going to get there? Yeah. And so as I thought about how we're going to get there, in a way, I sort of started setting up, let's use the candle metaphor. Like, we need this. We need a way to serve, we're a 3-person organization at the time.
Oh my gosh.
Tens of thousands of patients, hundreds of thousands around the world. How are we going to connect with them? How are we going to serve them? We have other organizations have things like chapters, but like, how does that work with, what's the legal structure? How do we find people to, and so chapters, we need a different kind of research strategy, because now we have to really be very focused on how do you get to clinical trials? How do you really focus on what's needed for treatment development? And radio podcast was one of the things. I had a candle for that. Social media, radio is a very direct way to reach people. I would love to find, I can't do it all myself. Maybe somebody there, what's their passion.
Right.
So, amazingly, year over year, I was, we were able to start lighting those candles as we grew the organization, grew the capacity. And I'm, I don't want to just say it's we, because it's, it takes a small village to do this, and to gather the talent and people together, the resources. It's a bootstrapping. You got to be able to grow to a certain size to be able to bring in other people. I'm so grateful for people like Beth Johnston, who's the first people to join us as to help with fundraising and chapter development, and then of course Mark Stone just kind of turbocharged it, took it to a whole another level. And it's all like, to me, what I feel is just so many people, so many hands helping along the way, starting with when I first came, and so many people opened their doors, opened their hearts to me, let me come and visit them all over to share, what it was, what it meant to live with FSHD, and what they were looking for, what their hopes or what their experiences, what they observed. I learned so much and continue to learn so much from them. And I'm always listening to the patient voice, because that is, we are an amplifier, a bullhorn. We take your voice and then try to turn it into action that's going to make a difference and deliver what people are telling us they need.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You guys are the voice, or carrying the voice, I guess, making it louder, making it stronger. But you said work from 3 people to what it is now. That is pretty amazing. And I know I feel the same way too with people that I've met. I would not normally have met, without this disease. It's like a borderline. Dare I say it? I'm almost like, okay, if I have this disease, so if there's nothing I can change about that at this point in time, but at least I can say there's a positive takeaway I can take away from it. The people I have met have definitely been a huge positive takeaway in the relationships that I've established because of it. And would not be if it wasn't for the disease, as weird as that may seem for some, So a part of me is like, well, I'm kind of thankful for it, I guess, in a way. But I guess it's more like, if I'm going to turn this into a positive, that's where it comes from for me. So do you feel that way a little bit? Like, the science, obviously, of the disease intrigued you, mission to cure, mission for treatment and so forth, but also the connections you've made along the way that you maybe not, maybe wouldn't have.
It's, on the one hand, it's such a random thing, just as random as having the disease, right?
Right.
But I am so grateful for the opportunity it has given me to meet people that I would not have met otherwise. I mean, there's lots of people out there. How
right.
Sometimes it's like if you're a fan of a sports team, you meet fellow fans and you start, it always is something that brings you together. And while nobody wants to have a disease or, a condition like this, it is a fact of life. And if it brings you together with other people, it's up to you to make of it, something greater than the sum of the parts. And that's what I feel has happened here. And for me, I mean, I've just met so many amazing people like you and so many other people and the people I work with.
Mhm.
Um, and I've had a chance to see how together we really have changed things. I mean, the world we live in today for FSHD is so dramatically different from 10 years ago. I mean,
Mhm.
there was no drug on the horizon, and we didn't have the clinical trial
Right.
network. We didn't have all these centers where I could say with confidence and go there, you're going to get really good care and you're going to be
Mhm.
able to be in a study. None of this was there. So, that we as a community got from there to here in 10 years is amazing. And I also want to,
Yeah.
really give a shout out to the pioneers who 30 years ago, really there was no organization. They were they're like, okay, we got to find some other patients. We're going to find them. This was before social media.
Oh my gosh.
Where
Right.
are we going to get researchers who are going to take an interest in the disease? How are we going to raise money to make anything happen? They did they did the huge lift there.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole push forward to get it started, to get it going, and then, to carry that through.
Yeah.
And then what do you think it looks like now? As you turn the corner, if we snap a line in the sand and say, okay, this is what FSHD Society was, and then now what is it going to be? What does that look like? What does the future look like?
Well, I'm sort of more focused on the results,
Mhm.
and how many people it takes in the society to get it to happen.
Mhm.
But I am so hopeful. I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but knock on wood, in a couple years, we might have the first FSHD approval of a drug that is designed to stop the disease process.
Wow.
And then hard on its heels, we'll have even, other effective drugs.
Mhm.
And then, I mean, this coming year, we're going to have the first, like a phase 1 trial of the Epic Bios kind of sort of gene therapy.
Yeah.
That's
That's pretty
kind of
exciting.
breathtaking. That's happening all of a sudden, it's like
Mhm.
wall breaking. And what I see is over the next, 5 years that there'll be several drugs that are going to be, coming onto the market. We have more battles ahead because we know gene therapies are expensive. Rare disease drugs tend to be just the dollars that go in. They have, the investors have to make
something back. Yeah.
back. They have a limited time to do it in.
Mhm.
So, and we'll make the strongest possible case, that treating FSHD is going to reduce other healthcare costs, that from having the disease, if over a lifetime, you can imagine it can.
Absolutely. The savings. Yes.
And so we have those battles ahead of us, which is going to involve more like political advocacy. You're going to start hearing, I think in a few years, we're going to be having people going to Capitol Hill and meeting with state, with Senate, congressional staffers and talking to the FDA kind of to advocate for, insurance coverage for treatments, coverage for other things like, right now, like genetic testing.
Yeah.
Is not uniformly, it's not required for insurers to cover genetic testing. Which stands in the way because you're going to have a genetic test to get the treatment, right?
Right.
Because targeting the genetic cause. So I see that, and I see also it's so exciting to see that this has become a worldwide movement. That there are, organizations we work with across Europe and Latin America and Asia and so on. Which again, 10 years ago, that I would have thought like, oh, I don't know if there's any hope for that. Like it seemed like,
that you're all alone a little bit, right? That we have these little silos everywhere and that we weren't connected. And
what can we do to help?
Quite the opposite. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just heard it looks like there will be a clinical trial research network site established in Brazil, which is
exciting.
you know,
Yes.
and also in India. Amazing.
Wow. That's a huge population of people. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. Two areas of the world that makes a huge impact. That's amazing. That's great news. It's like, well, I don't know how late breaking it'll be by the time this airs, but right now in this moment, yeah, it kind of is for me. That's pretty cool. That is great. That's something else to be thankful for, right? That connectivity, community coming together, the people that we've drawn in to help within our cause, the volunteer leadership. Obviously, the staff has grown with FSHD Society, which hence you can get more done. People are more pinpointed and targeted into what they do in their everyday to drive this forward. It sounds like it's going in the right direction. So in a nutshell, you know, even though I think we can kind of say it in some form or fashion, but stated simply, what are you most thankful for in this season of giving?
I'm thankful that I get to do what I do. I mean, it's every day, you know, although it's a long slog, if I can make a little difference in someone's life, you know, by answering a question in an email, connecting somebody with a doctor.
Yeah.
I'm working on this humongous Google Doc of all the clinicians we know all around the world. And I just, you know, that every day when I sit down, I feel like I can help move things forward a little bit. That's an amazing, amazing.
That's an amazing feeling. Yeah. Yeah. That is a good thing to be thankful for. And how about Thanksgiving? Do you gather? Do you celebrate that day? What are your traditions that you look forward to, or maybe not look forward to? I know there might be some people that are like, oh, I got to go to crazy uncle's house or something.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I read about people who have like it's family drama.
Right.
I'm grateful that we don't have that.
Yeah, perfect. That's good. Yeah, that would be top of my list too. Yeah.
No, and that no, my sister-in-law hosts it every year, and they're great hosts, wonderful cooks. You know, we just sit down and eat. Yeah. I mean, it's everybody's favorite holiday for that reason.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah, kind of. It is that one nice day to me in the calendar where things kind of stop and actually pause. Yeah. You know, where they actually kind of freeze frame you just in that moment, wherever that is, and hopefully everyone is doing something that they're relaxing to, whatever that is. If it's a big gathering or a small, doesn't matter. I know they're doing something to celebrate, almost like that pause and be thankful for where they are, who they're with. Yeah.
Well, gratitude is a powerful, powerful emotion, and it's great. There's a day dedicated to feeling gratitude, but honestly, I think every day we should be grateful.
Yeah. I totally agree with that too. I totally agree with that. And if we did feel that more often, it might be a whole different world, but small steps, just like the FSHD Society, what you're doing, small steps. You talked about, you know, every day, a little bit closer, help one person, shine a light of where they can go for help and so forth. Well, Thanksgiving, right? If every day we could sprinkle a little bit of Thanksgiving every day, and be grateful, I think it would be a better world in general, right? It is a powerful emotion. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. So in closing, to kind of wrap up, you know, you are looking forward to, you know, or when this airs, you've enjoyed your family gathering and had a good Thanksgiving, we hope, and it sounds like the future is bright for the FSHD Society. Is there anything though that you wanted to kind of, you know, share with our, you know, volunteer leadership? I'm not sure if you're going to that summit or not, but I know that you know about that happening. And you know, the powerful volunteers that are volunteering their time and their talent towards this cause or towards this treatment.
Oh, yes, a very special shout out. I will be going to the Volunteer Leadership Summit.
Oh, sweet.
So I'll get to see you in person, but I do want to give a special shout out to all of our Gathering Place volunteers. So these are folks who kind of stepped up to the plate for the Wellness Hour, Women on Wellness, Air Partners, Feeling Fit, Early Onset Parents, and the young adults. So we couldn't possibly manage all of these groups and come up with ideas, and of course FSHD radio, very importantly,
Yeah.
without the volunteers who kind of define the spirit of each group and provide their own energy, like every week, every month, kind of saying, okay, I just read this interesting thing, maybe we should discuss it at the next one, or
Right.
or the group itself discusses and say, like, next month we want to talk about this, and like that makes such a huge difference to me, to my life, because I can't possibly come up with every month 6 different programs.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that'd be crazy.
Line up who's going to speak and and do all that. There's tremendous amount of paddling under the water that goes, like set up the Zoom, put it on the calendar, actually, and then set up all the emails and all that. Each one is a little project in itself. So those moderators help make that process go smoothly, and they put in so much creativity, and it's the camaraderie amongst this group is, it's become a very special group as well. We support each other.
Yes, yeah.
And you're always welcome there. We hope we see you there sometime.
Yes. Absolutely. I will make time for it. Absolutely. That's part of my, maybe I'm jumping too for like part of the New Year's resolution, right? Maybe that's one other episode. Like, how are we getting better? What am I doing better? No, definitely. Yeah. That is good to say, yeah, because it is a huge community of volunteers, and keeping all those things working and going. That too is what I've noticed over the last several years, just the growth and the reach in different parts of the community. You mentioned all of them. It is just great to have that kind of representation and eye on those things, and it's drawing more people out, and hence, our community is growing because of it, and that is huge. It can't just be done alone. So the volunteers that put that on, it is tremendous. It's a tremendous undertaking, as you mentioned. A lot of details go. I love that term, the paddling under the water, for sure. Yeah.
Well, if you haven't looked at our calendar, it's on our website, top right corner is a little link that says calendar. You go on it. It's amazing. You look at each month, meetings, there's something for everybody. And so, yes, and the chapter meetings, chapter leaders too, big shout out to them, because they also organize their own chapter activity. And I just hope everyone listening will say, okay, let me get involved too. Just show up, because we put a lot of effort into creating these things, and we feel that there's value for you, and just don't be shy.
Find something. Just show up to one. I mean, there's a lot in there. You're right. You go on that calendar page. I click that on the regular, especially with episodes that I air. Try to plug other things that are happening within that time frame to make sure people know using this platform to do so. But it's right there. It's super easy. It is intimidating as in how full it is, but that's also exciting because it's so full. There's so many things you can get involved with. It is a great resource. Well, thanks, June, for being here and giving thanks. We thank you back for all that you do, and I hope you have a great Thanksgiving, even though this is airing and it is past and gone. So hope you enjoyed the day and enjoy time with your family.
Thank you so much.
Welcome to the FSHD Society Radio Show. This is another episode we have about Thanksgiving. What are we thankful for? And kind of that theme. As we gear up to the end of the year campaign, as well as Giving Tuesday, we wanted to kind of stop and pause and thank all those helping our community in the FSHD world. And we welcome in Carolyn Lloyd. Hi, how are you? You are here for the FSHD Society, and you're 8 weeks in. Is that right? Did you start in September?
That's correct. I did, as the Chief Development Officer.
Chief Development Officer. That sounds a lot more important than what I do just doing this. So tell us a little bit, how did you come across the FSHD Society? How did that connection begin or start? How did you get here?
Sure. So I have a couple of decades of work in development, which is my wheelhouse, and I was approached by Mark Stone, the president, on LinkedIn, and I was in a national role for another organization And he reached out to me and said, Carolyn, would you chat with me? And I said, sure. And as we talked through what the society does and the mission, I was incredibly moved. And it went from there, and here we are. So it was not expected by me to take this position, but I feel very passionately about the mission, and I'm very driven in the new role. Excited to be here.
Likewise, yeah. When it was announced, and they did have something posted about it, somebody they were bringing in, some looked like some positive energy, a lot of experience, as you mentioned, to bring forth to our community and help us try to find this treatment and cure and kind of push us in that right direction. Did you hear of FSHD prior?
I did, but not in great detail. My experience has been primarily in helping folks with chronic illness. I've worked with HIV, AIDS people nationally, and also multiple sclerosis. So it's very familiar to me and very moving for me. My mom had MS when I was a kid, and so it really spoke to me, the story of the families, and that was really the piece that made me research it more. So I did learn more after I talked to Mark, and I went in and did my own back studying, if you will, before I took the role. And but I wasn't involved in it before, but I was involved in the quest for medications and getting medications to people who need it, and that's been part of my career.
So that is a great segue to kind of that next question. People hear your title and they're like, okay, so what does that mean?
Yeah.
It sounds like a quest. Yeah, right. So like, what does that mean to us as the community? So it sounds like it is a quest driven to help us find the treatment cures, and it sounds like you have a lot of background in that.
I do, and I think the best way to understand what I do, and I tell the team this, as a development person, we are responsible for raising funds for the shortfall. So if you think of in a quest like this, in a mission such as this, where we're working globally to bring medications to people who do not have them, there's a shortfall financially. And my job is to close the gap between what's funded and what's not funded. And so in doing that, one of my main focuses is really bragging about the team and what we do. So my job is to represent our effort and to present that to people in a way that they can understand why we're doing what we're doing and the impact it has on people's lives and the importance of it. And then it's really up to them, based on the information that's presented to them, whether the mission speaks to them. And the thing is, we have so many people that know what we're doing and why we're doing it. And that's the exciting piece. But in my role, it's to raise the funds, the shortfall between what's funded and non-funded.
So there's, by no means, you use the word global. This is not just US or Canada problem. This is, you're working on a global scale to make sure that this problem's addressed.
Yes, we are. And I think as you interview other folks, that's going to come out. And there's people way more qualified to talk in detail about that than me at 8 weeks in. I joke and I say, I just hung up my coat. I'm just getting curious. But like we are moving globally. And there's a very deep strategy behind that. And I'm sure if you're going to interview Mark or Ken, those guys, June, those guys can all talk about that at length. But we need the collective power of the scientific community and the advocacy community for this disease globally to get where we need to go. And so we are making a concerted effort to gather the top, minds in this space globally to move forward. So yes, and it is brand, that part's new. That part's relatively new.
But so are you, and that's good. I think that's, I find that to be a positive thing. Fresh eyes, different energy, different resources, connections. I mean, it just, to me, it's exciting to know that someone that's come from that space is bringing that to the table. So me, as someone with FSHD, knowing this is happening, I get excited. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
what is Carolyn Lloyd going to do for us? I know it. This is going to be great. No pressure, of course.
No pressure. My gosh. Well, here's how I see it is it takes all of us. It's not just about, yeah, okay, it's great. A set of new eyes. I appreciate that. And I love being that. But there's people at this organization that have been here for, decades,
right,
and have seen it grow, and their knowledge is so important. And so it's kind of the synergy, the mix of the existing knowledge and the expansive strategy, right, that we're taking globally. It's a lot of change, but it is very exciting. And I know that the team at the FSHD Society is up for it. We're up for the challenge. We're all in, as they say.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And in the theme with this conversation, we're obviously getting to know you a little bit was one of my goals, and I know the community wants to know a little more about you, so thank you for sharing all that. But
sure.
The theme, of course, is the Thanksgiving side of it. We're kind of gearing that direction here as we post this, I think, on Giving Tuesday. And Thanksgiving at this point, when it gets posted, will have passed. But I think the spirit of giving should be all year round. So the question then is to you is, what are you, very, very broad question of, what are you thankful for?
Oh, gosh.
Right.
Wow. A lot.
Yeah.
I am grateful for a lot. I am specific to this role. It is an honor and a privilege to serve this community. It's amazing to me, the commitment and the gratitude that everyone feels as they work on this together. For me, feeling like I am able to give back and serve, if you will, for lack of a better word, it's amazing. It does more for me, and to know that I can use my skills and use my determination to move things forward for those in need. And we need to, in my mind, I'm grateful that I have the chance to do this. So that's very powerful for me. When I think about, my life in general, I'm grateful I'm at this place in my life where I can do this. It's more than a job for me. It is. I mean, I jokingly say, I would do this for free. I would do this for free. But, not everybody gets to do what we do, which is really work on something this meaningful. So I'm very grateful for that. And we can't do it without the donors and the support and the teams and the volunteers. Oh my gosh, we have amazing volunteers. And so all of that is magic for me. And I'm very, very grateful for that. And then I have, things in my own life. I'm grateful for my family and my kids and, my husband and all of those things too. But talking about this today, that's really, really the main focus. So my thanks goes out to the people that feel the same way I do, right? It's a community of people that feel that way. And I'm just happy to be part of it.
You mentioned some a family in your life. How do you celebrate Thanksgiving? Is there any traditions that you look forward to that you do?
Yeah, we have a house full.
Nice.
We have 4 kids, so we have everybody in and do it up and play tons of board games and a fire in the fireplace and all that. We're a big game playing family, so
that sounds like maybe some competitors in your family a little bit, compete a little bit.
in a good way. Yeah,
that's good.
We have fun.
I like that. I like that idea. I love that. It was a pleasure meeting you for the first time here, Carolyn, spending some time on this Thanksgiving theme show. I appreciate your time, appreciate what you're doing. Welcome to the community. Look forward to hopefully interacting with you more in the future, and wish you a blessed Thanksgiving. And thanks for spending the time with us today.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Welcome to the FSHD Society radio show. Thank you again for joining us on we're kind of ear noting and pausing on Thanksgiving time and giving thanks to our community and all those that are helping the FSHD community. One of those people you will recognize, he's in the other screen here, is Jamshid Arjman, who I still believe is probably a jazz musician when he's not doing what he does for us. Welcome, Jamshid. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Tim, for having me. It's a pleasure. I wish I was a jazz musician. I don't think I'm sophisticated enough to understand jazz music. The chord progressions are just too complicated for me.
Well, the fact that you know it's too complicated says something, right? I mean, it says you've at least investigated it farther than most. So I appreciate that. But it is the name for me. It's just the style that you seem to portray. Is always enjoyable to sit down and chat with you. Even our pre-hit record button chats are always fun. Someday I'll probably record that and be like, what is he doing? Yeah, what are they talking about? But no, thank you very much for being here. That is my thanks. That's part of my thank yous, is to all these great guests I've had the privilege of talking to over the last couple of days, kind of racking up some good interviews in the theme, of giving thanks. You've been with the FSHD Society since 2019.
That's correct. Right? Yeah, all time flies.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Wow, 2019. So what has changed? Now we're 2023. We're walking at the end of the year here. About a month left. And at the end quarter. What's been kind of the biggest changes you've seen from 2019, to now?
Great question. So before joining the society, I was at a small biotech and we were working on FSHD. And to our knowledge, there wasn't a whole lot of competition in the field. We were aware of Fulcrum and Fascio Therapeutics, and we suspected that maybe a few other companies were looking at FSHD. But when I joined, I think we kind of got a deep dive on who else was interested in the disease. And there were only like a handful of companies. Unfortunately, our company had gone under. We weren't able to raise the funding. But very quickly, within the first year, all of the companies that were active in FSHD, except for Fulcrum, all dropped out for one reason or another. So Acceleron had run a trial, and it didn't meet their endpoints, so they abandoned FSHD. Fascia also kind of dropped out. I think they were having some issues with the molecule that we're developing, some safety issues. So now I think we're looking, the field has expanded so much. There are so many companies that are active in FSHD. There's 3 ongoing trials right now. We're expecting 2 to 3 more trials starting in 2024. And there are a number of other companies, we're counting over 20 of them, that are at different stages of developing therapeutics. Now, the thing that's really exciting is that all of these therapeutics are slightly different from each other. They're not all going after the same strategy. So you can imagine that a number of years from now, there may be combinatorial therapies because they would be additive, that could be beneficial. If one particular strategy fails, there's a lot of backups and alternative strategies in the work. And that's what's really been absolutely amazing to me. And what I'm really thankful for is that it all starts off with, some of the basic researchers that are trying to figure out what's causing FSHD, what are the players. And then you have these innovative scientists in pharmaceutical and biotech companies that find ways of interfering with those pathways. And then you have all of the volunteers, that the community that kind of raises funding to support the research, but they also participate in the trials. And, one of the really amazing things that I'm really thankful for is that the FSHD community, the patient community, has volunteered for all the trials that have happened in the past. Even when they failed, recruitment has never been an issue. People volunteer, they want to participate in these studies. And for a rare disease, quite often companies can't recruit enough patients to fill the clinical trial, and so the trials drag on, and sometimes they have to be abandoned because they can't recruit enough participants. This has not been the case in FSHD. And in fact, whenever a trial fills or a study fills, the community kind of is like, well, we still want to participate. Why can't they add more people to it? But there's more trials coming up, so it's really been an amazing thing to see. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, I mean, right. That always was the theme that I heard, is that you can have these different types of trials coming, but if we can't fill them, we're going to be in trouble and they're going to fail. And you're saying, well, so far it's looking like it's been promising because of those that have been interested in participating. And then when it's full, I think I was one of those people. I think I wanted to participate in the Fulcrum one. They were going to open up, I think, a spot in Minnesota, and it was kind of back and forth communication. And then I read, oh, it's full. I'm like, oh, well, there you go. I guess that's it. But, you're grateful that it's full. It's moving forward. It's progress. I wish I was part of it, like maybe so many, that kind of miss it. But we're anticipating and excited if we can join another.
Exactly.
Yeah. So with going from like 4 or 5 companies into the space when you kind of started, and then moving into now we got 20 plus. What do you think is the biggest reason for such an influx in such a relatively short amount of time?
Great question. I wish I was, a fly on the wall when they make that decision. I've been in companies where we were looking at what indication, what disease indication should we enter, and so usually kind of look at a lot of factors to see is there enough known about the biology where we can maybe apply our technology to find a therapeutic? Are there enough tools? Are there animal models, cell lines that we can access so we can actually do some proof of concept experiments? That's one consideration. Then on the clinical side, you look, are there good enough measures to track disease progression? Do we know enough about the natural history of FSHD? So we could, if we start a trial, would we be able to measure if our drug is effective at slowing down or stopping the disease? So all of these things need to be in place before a company starts putting resources in developing their drug. So I think that everything has done, all the stars have aligned in FSHD, and there's confidence that if we develop a drug, there will be ways of measuring it. There is the centers are there. So for instance, there's quite a bit known about the biology. There's a lot we don't know, but what we know, there are points of entry for developing therapeutics. There are models available and biobanks available that are readily available so companies can bring them in and quickly do proof of concept experiments. The natural history studies that everybody participates in, the Rochester patient registry, the Resolve study that just ended, and Move, those add so much value for companies because it's testing the different outcome measures of trials and bringing confidence around those. And then just the history of the successful recruitment and trials that have historically happened, that makes it very adds confidence, I think, for those companies that we're going to be able to recruit. And then the CTRN is continuously expanding. So the expertise, clinical expertise, trial expertise is there so they can launch trials successfully without too much delay. There is still a capacity issue, but I think that happens in every disease. And so our work is not done, but it's definitely a fantastic starting point that gives companies confidence to be able to move forward.
But yeah, it sounds like, hey, if it's easy, that means it could be profitable or more profitable. There's more promise, hence why there's more getting in the space.
It's a progressive way of de-risking it. So every aspect of developing a drug and taking it through the trial is getting de-risked. And then there's also, we can't discount what's happening in other neuromuscular diseases. So there are now treatments, three drugs for SMA. There's drugs approved for Duchenne's. Myotonic dystrophy is coming along. And a lot of these diseases have commonalities and similarities. In fact, a lot of these the centers where trials are done are the same clinicians, the same researchers work on multiple diseases. And so you get to learn a lot from the success of other in other diseases and apply those to make FSHD more efficient. So that's been a wonderful, wonderful landscape. Has really, I'm kind of losing my track of thought, but it's the progress has been amazing across the field and all neuromuscular diseases.
It sounds like it's been a broad landscape, right? With all that participation, and then also being a more of a collaborative effort. It sounds like even crossing between different groups, maybe with some knowledge of what's happening within the same disease space. But when you said, SMA and myotonic dystrophy and so forth, is there they're not necessarily in their own silo, are they? They're kind of sharing it with others.
Absolutely. And a great example of this was just a couple of weeks ago, I attended the Clinical Trial Research Network meeting. And these, so a lot of the same clinics that run studies and clinical trials for FSHD are also the same centers that run studies in myotonic dystrophy and limb-girdle muscular dystrophy. And because there's so much overlap, the Muscular Dystrophy Association actually funded these networks, the ability to merge and have learn from each other and also do some data sharing. So they'll be able to learn from each other. And this was the first time that they actually had a joint day. Usually these meetings happen in close succession. They're one after the other, but one of them is focused on limb-girdle, one on myotonic dystrophy, and one on FSHD. This year, for the first time, they actually had a fourth day that was joint. And so we had FSHD, myotonic dystrophy, and limb-girdle all represented at one. And there were presentations given about new techniques or learnings that we could apply across the field. And that's really incredible.
It is, man. So with all that you talked about, a lot of highlights between 2019 to where we are now. Way to kind of encapsulate all that, by the way. And it's probably tough to do. But then spotlighting just on this past year, what would be one of your highlights? So was it the IRC or some event of that nature? What was one of your highlights of the past year?
Oh, the IRC is always one of those things. You're throwing a big party and you're wondering, will people show up? And so it's a big nerve-wracking process. And we were hosting this meeting in Milan, Italy, which is always a little bit more challenging when we are doing this remotely. There's a language barrier. There's time differences. Just being able to contact them and speak to them is challenging. But we had some amazing help. So David Gabellini, who is at San Rafael University, was one of the co-hosts, as was Nicole Boermans from the Netherlands. They helped out a lot in trying to field and help us with the language and translation, but also helping us find the appropriate venue for it. And then we had an amazing committee that was really international. We had committee members from Turkey, from Argentina, from Europe, the US. This is probably one of the most diverse groups that we had. And it included both very famous FSH researchers like Alexandra Belliou, but also newer researchers that are rising up. So Mauro Monforte from Italy, was on our committee, and it was just really wonderful to have them participate.
Wow.
So the meeting went really well. We had some fantastic keynote speakers. The meeting kind of had this theme of pediatric FSHD. So we started off with a patient advocate who was a young man who would kind of explain his journey and kind of set the theme for the meeting. We had an amazing presentation, keynote by Basile van Engelen, who oversees the Dutch clinical trial sites and the clinical research side. And he kind of gave a perspective on all the different stakeholders involved in FSHD. So you have the patient perspective, you have the biopharma perspective, but you also have the payer or governmental regulatory perspective. And all of these really need to be taken into account as you developed drugs from the bench to the bedside. It's important to really incorporate the patient's perspective and bring it back from the information from the bedside back to the lab, back to the clinical trials, and incorporate that voice as well. So it was a really informative talk. And then Dr. Benedict Chazot from France gave another amazing keynote address on the role of the immune system in Duchenne's, and there's a lot of parallels now between these different diseases. And I think this is why we get to learn so much from advances in Duchenne's or myotonic dystrophy. There are some common themes that applies to all of them, and it would be very helpful to learn from that and apply and see how we can use that information to advance therapeutics for FSH.
Wow,
so those were the keynotes, and then of course, we had all the usual amazing FSH researchers that were giving the latest updates on their work, and it was just phenomenal to hear that. We had a lot of representation from industry, updates on different studies that they've done. So that was it's always great to kind of get that open sharing of knowledge, and we created enough time for people to be able to network. That's one of the huge benefits of having in-person meetings is you need to give space and time so people can catch up with each other, strike conversations, and set up collaborations.
Yeah.
And so, during lunch and the poster session, you would always see groups of people kind of huddling around a table with a laptop. They're giving each other updates, and that this is going to lead to good, fruitful collaborations, which is kind of how the field really advances.
Absolutely. I think that's how it's gotten the growth that we talked about earlier, right? With the field of advances having events like that. So of course the future is bright in 2024. We hope, more to come.
Yes.
But within the season of Thanksgiving, I like to always say it's kind of the ultimate pause day for me in my life. I have always a lot of things going on, spinning a lot of plates. Some people know Tim does way too much stuff, and on Thursday, on Thanksgiving Day, even a couple days around it, just kind of like, what, the world's going to kind of pause. I think I'm going to follow suit. Is that kind of the theme of your Thanksgiving holiday? Is it kind of just a little bit of let's just step back for a bit, because you travel a lot. So I mean,
that is
you don't
true.
want to jump on a plane again.
I was just traveling over the weekend, and the holiday travel had started. I almost missed my flight trying to get through the security line. So, kudos to everybody who's traveling this weekend. We're planning on staying put.
Yeah.
And just have a quiet Thanksgiving.
That's good.
I think since we're at home and we're going to limit how much food we cook, I will not do what I typically do if I'm invited somewhere, is stuff myself. So that's going to be a little bit more healthy.
Yeah.
But one of the things is my stepkids are spread out all over the place, and we're not going to unfortunately get to see them. And I'm very thankful this year we became grandparents.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you. So, but I will get to see my granddaughter in a couple weeks. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think she's turning 5 months pretty soon.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. That's awesome. How exciting that is! That is amazing. Wow. Well, Grandpa, is that what you're going to be referred to then as? I mean, what is the?
It feels great and a little bit shocking at the same time. I'm not ready for this.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, thanks, Jamshid, for joining us today, giving us a little update on the years past and things that that we've seen in the growth. Gratitude from me to you for not only just joining us today, but all the other times you've sat with me and done interviews like this. They're always a lot of fun. When you put your name on the schedule, I do get excited. The conversation always flows. You're quite a character. I enjoy you very much.
I'm unpredictable, like a jazz musician.
Yes, you are. Like Miles Davis or something. I don't know. Am I even speaking right? Is that even right? I don't know. I'm not that wise.
Thank you very much. Tim, I really appreciate everything that you do, and I'm really, really, truly grateful for the opportunity to work with the entire FSHD community. The researchers are brilliant. The companies that are working to develop therapeutics are really dedicated and working really hard. And of course, none of it would be possible without the help and contribution and support of the community. So I'm really, truly thankful for that.
Excellent. Likewise, we are thankful for you as well, Jamshi. Thanks for being here again. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving, as this airs obviously after the fact. So hopefully everybody's enjoying their Giving Tuesday when they watch this, and hope they all had a good Thanksgiving. So thanks for joining us, Jamshi.
Thank you so much, Tim. Really appreciate it.
Welcome all to the FSHD Society radio show. I'm your host, Tim Hollenbach, and thank you again for joining us yet for another segment here on Thanksgiving, enjoying this special day today together. No guest in this episode, as if you notice, there's no split screen. It's just me on this little segment. A great opportunity for me to say thank you. Thank you to you all that take the time to listen and watch the shows and the specials that we put on. Thank you for being part of the radio broadcasts that we do, podcasts that we do, however you want to phrase it, put it. It could not be done without you. In the past, I've done a lot of episodes and shows before even the FSHD Society radio show. Yes, I did a podcast. I could probably look it up. Email me, though, to ask what the name of it is. That's the test to see if you're paying attention. And I'll tell you, some of the old shows I used to do, I had a blast interviewing people then. Of course, it was always fun. It was a hobby. And then, of course, as we know, I was diagnosed at 40 with this terrible disease like so many of you, and took that talent and a dark room studio and lit it back up again and decided to create something that may help the community. Little did I know then it would equal to what it is now. Something that has followed well. People engage with me when I go to, if it's a chapter meeting that I happen to visit, or if it's an event, or the volunteer leadership summit, and those types of things. It is so flattering to be recognized for just this vessel that I put together with the help of June Kinoshita and so many others in the group to try to just create something that was good for the community. That was my drive. That was where I began. And where it is now is just amazing to me and the amazing people I've met. So thank you to the listeners. Thank you to the people that have been a part of this show. Now, as we were promoting this episode, there was some people that, emailed me, which was great because I was like, oh, awesome. We got some responses off of this cry for some Thanksgiving. And I thought, what a great opportunity to kind of share that, doing a little bit of a solo episode here over Thanksgiving. So with that being said, I kind of wanted to introduce those emails now to you, the people listening, watching today on Thanksgiving. The first one comes from, I don't know if he really meant for it to be part of this episode, but I decided to include it. Rick Whitehead from Knoxville. And Rick has interacted with me before, and he has always had some great compliments for my interview style. In the process, he determined that in his email, he was a little frustrated with NPR the way their interviews go, because it's so much about the interviewer, not the person he's interviewing or she's interviewing. And he appreciates my style, that I listen and that I engage with the person that is the guest, because let's face it, that's really who you want to hear from. I always like to try to play the role of the listener as I'm the interviewer. But what would you ask if I was listening to this for the first time, if I could raise my hand and have that opportunity to? So I want to feel that I'm doing this on behalf of those listening, that what would they ask in this moment, in this response? And that's why I love the conversational style that we've created here on this show. So thanks, Rick, for that compliment. And he further talks about some of the episodes that we've had in regards to Ms. Russo that was on, and he was moved by her and knows her, and part of the, getting fit with FSHD and so forth. So thank you, Rick, for taking the time to email me. Always appreciate that feedback, and that goes for all of you. The second great response that I got was from Laura, and she's from Marthasville, Missouri. And forgive me as I kind of reference my notes here. she talks about how she was decided to get tested or diagnosed when her daughter was diagnosed at 41, and Laura went through the process then when she was in her late 50s. Now 70, they've worked on being part of a couple trials, the Move and Resolve, as well as being a part of other groups, including the St. Louis chapter group and the Walk and Roll, and has thanked me for the show and what I'm doing. And I always appreciate that. I'm humbled the fact that people take the time once again to listen and watch and put me in their ears for a little bit, maybe when they're doing other things around the house or drive to work or whatnot. It is flattering. So thank you, Laura, for that. She also continued to say, though, that her daughter, Chelsea, I believe, if I have that right, Moeller, blogs, and the blog is called Honestly FSHD. So look that up. That's our plug for her. And I did. It's great. I implore you to do the same. Look up Honestly FSHD, another great place to kind of get connected with people in our community. Now, guilty as charged. I'm not a big blog reader, but if it does strike my interest, I do read it. So that's why, of course, I'm more of a podcast guy, as I kind of describe people. I'd rather communicate in this fashion. But Honestly FSHD is another great place to communicate and connect. So I would love for you guys to do that. So thank you to Rick and Laura for sharing some of your kind words and giving of thanks to the show. And likewise back to you. Thank you for listening, watching, and sharing, and taking the time to email me and communicate. You can also do that anytime. FSHD radio at fshdsociety.org is the email address that goes to me. I would love the interaction. So please do so as we keep moving along. Lastly, I guess, like I asked a lot of people during these interviews over Thanksgiving, that broad question of what are you thankful for? I think it's pretty obvious. I've stated it so many times over and over again, and not just on Thanksgiving, but during the year. How absolutely, and I really mean it, it just doesn't seem like it's enough to say the community, the scientists, the FSHD Society people that work there, the volunteers, all of it. Don't know what I'd do without it. I really don't. I think there's a lot of people that feel the same way. And there are other resources, other groups to be a part of. And I'm not saying don't be. I'm extremely thankful for them as well. All of them. Even the ones that may not like the FSHD Society as much as others. That's okay. Have your opinions. Not a problem. I thank you as well for your opinions. Not a problem. But when I asked the people that were on the past episodes, June and Jamsheed and so forth, ask them the broad question, what are you thankful for? Or how do you also spend Thanksgiving? I'm very thankful for, of course, my family, my wife. I always feel like she walks this walk with me. It's almost as if she might as well have the disease too. I think a lot of spouses, caregivers could feel the same. And I hope that doesn't come across as insensitive, but empowering, that they're with us. And I am grateful for that. I don't have to walk this completely alone in my house. I'm very grateful. And I hope so many of you have someone like that you can rely on. I'm thankful for that. And my boys that can understand that, yeah, dad has this, but he's still dad. And hey, can you throw me some batting practice? They don't miss a beat. They just keep going. I feel normal for that reason. I'm thankful for that. But as Thanksgiving approaches, the other question I've asked, as today is Thanksgiving, as this airs, I guess. I thought it wasn't, to be honest with you. But it's airing on Thanksgiving. And I wanted to ask myself, how do I share Thanksgiving? And that's changed so much over the years for me, with big family gatherings, downsizing to where we kind of are now. Some of you may know I've lost my father and my brother within basically a year's time, and it's been devastating. So with that hurt, with that pain, it's tough to be celebratory. It's more about remembering. And I guess as I reflect on what Thanksgiving means this year for me, it's a pause and allow myself to pause and not do so much, and to take a look around the room. And I ask you to do the same thing. Take a look around the room or around the table that you share your meal with today, and take in who's there and take in who isn't. And hopefully you can enjoy the day regardless. share the great memories in your mind or with others that are there, that those that aren't with you any longer, but also relish in the time that you have with those that are. And put that in your memory banks and pause. Put away the phone. Put away the things that would distract from that moment. That's what I plan on doing, so I can tune in, focus on why I'm with the people I am with on that day. So that's how I'll celebrate my Thanksgiving. Yes, there'll be food. Yes, there'll be turkey. I'm with my mother-in-law, who's Sicilian, does some Italian style stuff. Love her cooking. And it's just a good day to pause. So be thankful in the day of Thanksgiving. And I hope you can pause too and enjoy the ones around you. And I wish you all a great, happy Thanksgiving and holiday season as we go forward. A couple episodes left in the year. Those are coming. One guest I'm trying to lock down. I'm super excited to bring to you. He's a fellow FSHDer that we met in interesting circumstances. And I want to share that story badly with the community. So I look forward to having that be our December episode. That's what I'm hoping for. And then, of course, our Hot Off the Press episode to finish the year. So thank you for what's been a great year thus far, and go out strong in the last month, and then turn over the calendar and look forward to bringing you more episodes as we move into the next year. So thank you all again, and I hope you have a blessed, happy Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.